And I just turned around and I hauled ass out of there. I was done. I wasn't dealing with that.
The hypocrisy of the cult is one of the things that turned me away the quickest.
When I turned my headlights on, it turned and looked at us. And one of the things I remember the most were the eyes were glowing red.
I see an orb of light. It is just circling these steps like it is waiting for me.
And he begins to tell them that he saw a UFO. They're basically like, what are you talking about? That's 7 foot up on a tree, peeking around it. And that's where I saw the top of the muzzle, nose, and the eyes. As soon as I made eye contact with this thing, it felt like death.
Welcome back to Tinfoil Tales. I am your host, Brandon Wright. On tonight's episode, we're going to be joined by my first in-studio guest, my friend Mike. I've known Mike since probably around the year 2000, so almost 25 years. We went to school together, been in a couple bands together, kind of lost touch over the years, as most people do when they grow up, but here recently we've kind of been talking back and forth, and he had some experiences that he would like to talk about, so he will be the first guest in my new studio. But before we dive into that, if you've ever had an experience and you would like to be on an episode of Tinfoil Tales, there's a few things you can do. You can either go to tinfoiltales.com and go to the contact section, or you can send an email to tinfoiltalespodcast@gmail.com. Either way will work. So just make sure to reach out, get a message to me, and we will get something scheduled for a future episode. If you would like to help the podcast out, I ask you to please share it around wherever you listen to Tinfoil Tales at. Just share it. If you listen on YouTube, you can share the video. Doesn't matter to me. Just make sure to get it out there for potential new listeners, which means potential new guests. You can also help out by leaving a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to Tinfoil Tales at too. It helps with the rankings. It helps me out, makes it a little bit easier for the podcast to be more discoverable. Just make sure, keep doing that. And if you are, just know that I appreciate you guys. You can also become a member of the Patreon. There's a couple different tiers on there. It's worth checking out. Just make sure to look in the show notes for that. Follow me on all the social medias. I'm most active on Facebook, so look for Brandon Tinfoil Tales on there. I think now we're going to go ahead and bring Mike on. Looking forward to talking with him. It's always good to talk to one of your buddies. I hope you guys enjoy our conversation. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I'd like to welcome Mike to the show. Mike is an old friend of mine. He is the first guest I've had in this new studio. So kind of breaking it in here today. So Mike, thanks for coming on here and talking with me.
Hey, no problem.
Would you like to let the audience know a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. My name is Mike, as Brandon said. We've known each other over 20 years, I'd imagine, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. Professionally, I work for a landscaping company. Long hours, 10 or 12 hours a day. Man, that's all I do right now.
Yeah.
Because I sleep afterwards. I get up at 5 a.m. every day.
Right.
And go to work. I mean, that all changes in the wintertime.
Right.
Right now it's tiring.
You're not one that's been involved in any of like the strange, weird, paranormal stuff. Like this isn't something that happens to you all the time or anything like that. So, for me, like I'm just trying to explain a little bit here for the audience. Like basically, you're not the type of person that comes around and says you have this happened to you, this happened to you, this happened to you. Like that. This is not you. Like you're not not come on here just to like.
I don't make stories up.
Right.
It's just, I'm not scared to tell the truth of what happens either, though, because I don't really give a shit if what people think.
Right.
But yeah, no, I've never been one to make up stories that, didn't happen.
Yeah.
it was definitely it changes the way you look at things when weird stuff like that happens.
Yeah, definitely. Would you like to dive on into it, or do you want to give a little bit of a background into it beforehand?
Uh, I mean, it's a series of events that happened. Um, so I guess maybe a little bit of background might be needed, not a lot, but a little bit. Um, so the first time this chair's squeaky. The first time,
Don't trust that chair. I'll be getting a new one out here soon.
the first time something weird happened to me, it was I was I want to say 20, actually, yeah, 20. Uh, and I was in a town called Jerome. I think you know the town I'm talking about.
Yep.
The haunted cemetery, apparently.
I've actually talked about it on here once or twice, I think.
Yeah, I've been there a few times. I think I've been there with you.
No, you had.
Um, but my sisters used to live out there, and I was out there driving around with uh a friend of mine. It was a mutual friend between me and my sisters. And it was probably like 2 a.m. And I looked up and I saw what looked like an airplane, I guess would be the easy. That's about how fast it was moving. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. And that's weird though, because there's like no flashing light. It's just one light. Like what? I've never seen an airplane look like that. But as I was looking at it and, thinking all that, this thing shot off. Like I watched, like if I hadn't seen it, but 2 seconds later than when I seen it, I would have just thought it was like a shooting star, debris breaking up in the atmosphere, whatever. It, I watched it go from normal speed, like an airplane in the night sky, to taking off at, I don't, just because I don't know what I saw, uh, for lack of a better term. I guess it shot off at light speed. That's what it looked like, you know, uh, like a shooting star, you know. But I watched it, and meteors don't, or comets or whatever, they don't change speed like that. Not that drastically without any outside intervention,
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not gonna do that. That's not how it works. Um, and I always thought it's pretty much mathematically impossible in my head that we are alone. Like it's just because we can't figure out how to travel somewhere else, without traveling in a straight line for, however long, doesn't mean another species can't be smarter than us and figure it out, you know. Um, so that was the first experience. It was pretty cool, to say the least. But
Did you?
go
Was
ahead.
it just a light that you could see, or was
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't. I've never actually seen uh like a solid form. It's always been just a light, but the second time that it happened, it was a light, but it was not even 30 feet in front of me. So if you can imagine light as a solid object is is the best way to describe it. So it was a light, but it was right in front of me. It was I actually started yelling at when it happened. And that's the only time that something happened to me that somebody else was there and actually seen it happen. So, I mean, we don't really speak anymore, because it's an ex-girlfriend. But I mean, if you were to speak to her, she would tell you, maybe not word for word what I say, but I mean, she's seen the UFO or UAP or whatever you want to call it, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to claim to know what they are. I mean, it could be government for all I know. Because I mean, it was right in front of me.
I don't think anyone really knows what they are.
I mean, I think somebody has an answer, at least for some of them, maybe not all of them, but I definitely think that somebody has an answer.
I think a lot of it is our own stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
Yep, I would agree with that.
I don't want to say that it's not a possibility that there's some other form of life or something out there traveling around, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of the stuff that people are seeing are more or less probably originated from here.
Yeah, well, I mean, even Bob Lazar said that he thinks that a lot of the craft that the government has are archaeological finds. Basically, they dug them up. So
Where did they come from originally, though? That's the thing that never gets brought up to that I've ever noticed. Like, are they saying they're not from here, or were they something from like an ancient technology that they've uncovered?
I bet I bet it's a little bit of both. But ancient technology makes a lot of sense to me for a lot of it.
If you have the ancient technologies, and then that just means civilization was a lot more advanced back in the day than what they are now, which I believe to an extent, anyways, because you have the stuff like the pyramids,
The Sphinx,
all the things that have been
Machu
made.
Picchu.
Yeah, all those things that have been made that ancient aliens has made to popularize.
I mean, if you do a little bit of digging, you can, I mean, and you got to read between the lines. You can't just, go diving in the internet and expect to find everything and you believe it all, like you got to read between the lines because there's a lot of crazy theories and they contradict one another a lot of times. So it's, you know,
There's definitely a lot out there that is false information. A lot of it is pushed on people just to believe that false narrative for whatever strange reasons that they want.
yeah, I mean, they have the proof. They prove that disinformation is a real big thing to keep us guessing, I guess. I think we're a little bit more mature than they give us credit for, though, because and I think they know that too, because I think that's where you know some disinformation lies actually, because I think it's not just about, oh, we might panic, because technology like that that's like changing the world for the better if they let it come out, and then they can't line their pockets with whatever energy they're selling that week. So
They definitely have an agenda.
yeah, yeah.
You want to go on into the other experience you had?
Oh, yeah. This is, I mean, it was a short experience. It wasn't very, it wasn't a very long experience, but it was definitely, oh, wait, are you talking about the one I was just talking about, or the third one?
I don't know how many you have that you want to talk about.
There's three,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
So I'll tell the one with me and my ex first before the last one, because the last one is
Hmm.
that's the crazy one. So me and my ex were in Indianapolis, on it was a Sunday. I remember that. And I'd say it's about 7 years ago. I'm not good with dates. I'm not good with dates at all. If my birthday wasn't on Christmas Eve, I wouldn't remember it. Um, we were driving, and I drove a minivan. We were driving northbound on Keystone in Indianapolis. It was about 5:30 in the morning, and we were, headed back home. And I remember seeing a helicopter up like to my right. Okay, like it was flying in the sky, whatever. And it was just hovering there. And I was like, well, what the hell? It looked funny. Them old cartoons where the helicopter's like looking for the criminal
Mm-hmm.
with the spotlight.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. It's exactly what it looked like. It was weird. And I said, "Oh, hey, Stephanie, what the hell is that? What the hell is that helicopter doing?" And I'll never forget it. She was on her phone and she looked up, and no sooner as she looked up, this helicopter in quotations here, uh, like swooped down, like right in front of us, like it looked like it was gonna hit Keystone. As soon it was this whole experience was maybe about, I don't know, 10 seconds, and that's being generous. I don't even think it was that long, probably, but it swooped down like it was gonna smash into Keystone, and then swooped back up, and this is literally like right in front of us. There is never a day in Indianapolis where there's no traffic. It's a pain in the. I mean, I don't want to take away from California traffic or something, nothing, but uh, it's
Growing up in a small town like we did,
yeah,
it's a lot different than
yeah,
this town.
yeah. Indianapolis, there's never, except on Sunday mornings. That is literally the only time where you're not going to be, back to back, bumper to bumper traffic. It sucks. But we are the only car on Keystone at the moment at 5:30 in the morning on Sunday. The only car. This thing swoops down in front of us and then like jumps back up into the sky and like turns to the right a little bit, like from its perspective, not from mine. I guess from its perspective. I don't know. But it wasn't any when I saw it, it wasn't any bigger than my vehicle. It was but it was like a ball of light. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. It cut out on my thing. But it was like a ball of light. That's it. If you think of light as a solid object, that's what it was. It was it was it was pretty cool.
What color was it?
Uh so it started as like um a normal light bulb color, kind of, you know. Um, but when it shot down in front of us and then went back up to take off, dude, it it turned like I want to say like it was like brightish orange. It was like reddish, brightish orange, and it like you see it take off, and as it's taking off, it looks like it's cloaking. Like this last second of this experience that happened, it looked like it was cloaking. Because I seen it, and then I see a little tiny dot, like a thousandth the size of what I originally see, and it's just gone. I'm like, oh, that was. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie. My ex, her jaw was dropped, and I started screaming. I'm oh my God, oh my God. I was freaking out. Because at this point, I'm I've already went down the rabbit hole. Like I'm I'm committed to trying to figure out what's actually going on. And I know I never will most likely know exactly what's going on, but when you see something like that, you want to know what the hell it is.
Right.
That's just I would say that 95% of people would feel the same way. But so it took me probably a year to even realize what had happened, because I thought it put like this cloaking device or whatever you want to call it on, and but no, what had happened? I was telling a buddy of mine that I worked with. He was actually on UFO hunters when they came to Kokomo, if you remember that.
Yeah.
I was telling him about it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it shot off at light speed, huh?" And that's when it clicked that it wasn't cloaking. It just shot off so fast that I seen it in two places at once. Is what I mean. That's what it looked like. It was in like in the sky, and then directly in front of it, I see a tiny little dot. Like almost like in the movies. It's weird to say that, but
Do you think the thing in front of it was a separate object and the light behind it was something chasing it, or if it was just giving off the light behind it, that was its propulsion?
I mean, I didn't see any propulsion as the thing, unless that orange color that it made. But yeah, there was no propulsion, there was no sound, and it wasn't any bigger than my minivan. But no, it didn't look like it was. It looked like it was. I guess maybe it's very. I don't want to act like I know what they were doing, because and I've always said, like, I don't even know if it was, I don't know if it was aliens or, I have no idea. It's, I just know what I seen. And what it looked like was that it looked like that object shot off at light speed or cloaked itself. I, I, I go out, I would say that it probably shot off at what looked like to me as light speed. That's why it looked like it was in two places at once for like, I don't know, a half a second.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering if maybe it wasn't, if that makes any sense. I know it sounds strange, but like maybe that is how it travels. Like it doesn't travel like normal propulsions or whatever. Maybe it actually like, I don't know how to make it. It's like it's jumping.
Yeah,
Like it goes from
yeah,
one spot to the next spot to the next spot. Like it's not traveling in between. It's almost like,
right. It went through like a portal kind of
right.
almost. I just wasn't able to see the portal. So it looked like it was in two places at once, but really it was just yeah, I've thought that too, actually. It's funny that you say that.
Yeah, I was thinking like maybe it just has the way of opening up that portal to where it goes here, almost like you take a piece of paper, you put a dot here and a dot there, and you fold the paper and the
Right.
dots come together.
Now when I said that to my ex about like what the hell is that helicopter doing? And she looked up, it when it come down, it was almost like it was acknowledging that it knew that we seen it. Like it couldn't have been more than 20 or 30 feet in front of us. And there was no I didn't I mean, like I said, like light as a solid object. There was no metal that I saw. I'm sure there is something underneath the light, but there at what we could see there was nothing.
It's funny that you mentioned that because there are people that communicate with these things, and I believe it's they call it C5, and there's that Dr. Stephen Greer.
Yeah, I like him.
Well, a little information about him. I'm not saying he's wrong or anything like that. I'd actually love to have
No,
a chance to talk to the guy, but I know he charges people at least $10,000 to come out there.
yeah, no, I don't know that. There's a lot of things that I'll listen to that I don't necessarily believe. Like flat Earth, for instance. I don't believe that it's flat Earth. I don't think the aliens are demons. You know, I don't. I think they're just like people, basically. Some are good, some are bad. Uh, who knows?
I've always just been leery when someone charges a lot of
Yeah,
money.
yeah. I agree with that, actually.
It makes you wonder what the motives really are if you're charging people thousands upon dollars to come out there and experience something. Like, are you actually hoarding your knowledge just to
Right.
benefit? Like, so
Which, yeah, because I remember he said something about they were real close to making 0 point energy like and giving it to the public. And this is like probably 10 years ago, so where's it at?
right.
Like, the government has it. They just won't give it to us.
There's a lot of stuff out there that it could benefit humanity, and I believe if that technology is out there, we will never see it, at least not for another 50 years from now.
Right. They're way ahead of, and who knows exactly, except for the people that actually get to use the technology, but they're way ahead of what they tell us. I guarantee it.
That's why I feel like a lot of these UAPs and everything that they're talking about now are more known things, like the Tic Tac stuff, the things
Yeah.
they found on
They can't really hide it no more. I mean, I've seen it, firsthand. It's when they're popping up in front of you, who are you can't tell me that I didn't see it because I did. I know what I saw. It was I don't I say I know what my eyes,
you saw something.
processed. I know I saw something. I don't know what it was, but I know that I've never had. I don't have a history of hallucinating.
I don't believe that people, I don't know how to word this correctly. I don't believe that people hallucinate in the sense of they see things like that.
Right.
Like, even if someone did some sort of hallucinogenic drug, I know people that mess with DMT, they claim that as what when they experience talking to
I think that's real.
different beings and everything. Like, I don't know if it's because they've tapped into some sort of part of their brain, or like they claim it's a hallucination, it's not real because it's a drug. Who's to say that maybe this hallucination isn't a hallucination and maybe they're actually communicating with something from beyond the realm that we can't understand because our brains have been completely dumbed down to not be able to use what was there originally.
Right. I mean, it's definitely there. We release it every night you sleep. That I don't see an issue with using hallucinogenic drugs spiritually. It's it's not like getting high. It's a completely different, journey there. It's not like getting high.
I know there are people out there that would frown upon that just
I
because of
know.
the context of it, but I understand like a lot of religions, not
Yeah. Oh yeah.
we're from America, so the most common religion here is Christianity, and anyone that does stuff like that, you're either up doing the devil's lettuce, everything's
Devil's lettuce.
everything's like evil and
We're surrounded by like recreational states, and
yeah,
we'll be the last ones.
yeah. That's neither here nor there. It's where the Indiana's very backwards when it comes to certain things.
Yes, yes, we grew up here. Yep.
But no, when it comes to this country in general, though, for the most part, we've been very restrictive on religious type aspects. Like this country was founded on the Christianity beliefs. And for whatever reason, partaking in things like that is usually very frowned upon.
Yep, and it probably always will be because I mean propaganda. You you do you remember in school them bringing a briefcase? Or did you go to the same elementary school I did?
No.
No. Okay. Well, they brought a briefcase in first grade. They brought a briefcase filled with illicit substances and showed us all what they were.
Very strange for first grade.
Yeah, in first grade.
No, my kids go to the same school now, but
I don't think they do that anymore.
no, they don't. And times were a lot different in the in the early 90s to whatever the hell year we are in right now. I guess 2024. Some people want to argue about that. I don't that's a topic I might discuss sometime on another Crinkle Conspiracies episode, but people do not believe we're really in 2024.
I mean, it depends on which calendar you follow.
There's so many different calendars, like
Right.
the Chinese calendar is different. I think there's a Jewish calendar that's different. We're just falling under whatever calendar that we fell under, the old Roman calendar, I think.
Something like that. Like there's the Gregorian, or I don't know. I know there's a bunch, and I don't necessarily think we're in. It depends on how you look at it. Like because I think there's been several civilizations on the planet. Myself, I don't think we're the first intelligent life here.
No. There's if there was, I think it's either already gone or we're the remnants of it and they've let us be dumbed down because they saw how they turned out. Maybe they had different hopes for us. I don't know.
Right. We're scary when we're smart. We blow shit up.
That tends to be what happens now. We're getting back to that same thing, which I thought was funny when you start looking back at these UFO encounters and experiences with people. It really upticked after World War II.
Yeah, yep. The nukes, man. The nukes, they wanted to shut them down, I guess. I mean, and there's stories from American and Russian bases and German, of I mean, the Germans didn't have nukes, or they'd probably used them, but did they? Did they have nukes?
No, but I think they were working on something similar.
Yeah, because we took their scientists to build the nuke. Yeah, I believe.
We took their scientists for Project Paperclip.
Yeah. The guy that started NASA was
Werner von whatever.
Werner von Braun.
Yeah. He was a Nazi scientist.
Yeah. Yep. Like buddies with Hitler type scientist. He's just American now.
And then created NASA, the great thing that we still have today, which
airbrushed pictures for the public.
I don't care what anyone says, and people like to argue about it, but I always bring this up. I do not believe we landed on the moon in 1969.
Okay, so I think that we've been to the moon, but I don't think they showed it to us because and I don't like arguing about it with people because you try to show them like, look, dude, this scientist or this astronaut got lifted up by cords. You can clearly see, like if you go back and like check, like you can clearly see in the video that it's like that is no way. Like, and wasn't the flag blowing in the wind? That's at one point?
I've seen that was just because of zero gravity and the way they were moving, and it was making it rock weird.
That doesn't make sense.
There are so many like random plot holes when it comes to that doesn't make any sort of sense. Like the shadows don't make any sort of sense. Like the
right. I don't think that I think we've been there. I don't think they wanted us to see exactly what it is.
How did they do a live stream from the moon is what I'm trying to figure. They didn't have the satellite technology at the time, but yet they made a phone call to the president from the moon, and it was like on camera. You could see him talking on the camera. That didn't make any sort of sense. That did not exist back in 1969, and the fact that in 1972 they decided to destroy all the technology.
Oh yeah, yep. We can't go to the moon now. It's 2024. for
But
some reason.
they figured it out in the 1960s, and look how much smarter we are today. Look what we're doing right now. And
We seem smarter. I wouldn't necessarily say we are.
but I mean, technology wise,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
a technological scale, there's more technology in these smartphones that we have rather than what they took to the moon on the
That's what
space
they
shuttle.
say. Yeah.
So they can't figure out how to get back to the moon, but yet they can figure out all these
Yeah.
crazy things.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Well, there is one reason why I like teeter back and forth about it is like the Van Allen radiation belt, it's like how'd they get past it? If we can't go past it, then how did they get past it? And they didn't destroy no technology. They either didn't have it and I'm wrong and they didn't go to the moon, or they they don't, there's a reason why they can't go back. Like, uh,
Maybe they didn't like what they found on the moon.
well, dude, I've had people yell at me about the moon being hollow. And the thing is I'm only going by what NASA said. They didn't come out and say, oh, it's hollow. But then again, they did. Like they're like, oh, it rang like a bell. We put 3 seismographs on the surface. And when we crashed something into it, it rang like a bell for like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. And it's in a perfect place. We can't, it's the only, I believe it's the only moon in our whole solar system that's tidal locked like that.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain on that.
I think it is.
I know there's a lot of other moons, especially around Saturn. Jupiter has a lot, I think, too.
Yeah.
I know they
Yeah.
believe Europa. I think that's one of Saturn's moons.
Yeah. Europa's so cool. It just expands. I think there's life there. I mean, whether it be intelligent, probably not. But I do believe that there could be life there. 100%.
I have heard that there are under the ice,
Yeah.
there's an ocean, and I've heard there are things under there that are super intelligent, and
At least like dolphins, right?
they're eel-like. The best way they describe them were like they're eels, but they were very intelligent. Like they're telepathically communicative intelligence.
Well, dolphins aren't telepathic that we know of.
But they're very smart.
Yeah, yeah. They use the echolocation.
Echolocation, so do whales and bats and
Yeah.
other. It's
Yeah.
strange how the certain species evolved completely differently, but they use the same sort of, I guess, senses or whatever capabilities.
Yeah. Yeah, they're supposed to be on a completely different spectrum. But see, I don't think that we necessarily came from here because we're the only species on the whole planet that like our sun is poisonous to, basically. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but
Our sun supposedly can give you cancer.
right. I guess I've seen some dogs get cancer, but never skin cancer.
I think a lot of the dues with cancer that we have is self-inflicted. I think it's a lot of the stuff that we put in our bodies.
Oh, 100%.
I honestly think it was designed that way, but I'm a
I'm
a tinfoil hat guy over here, so
yeah. But I feel the same way. Like the processed food. There's America's the worst about it. There's countries that have made certain like food additives illegal,
mm-hmm.
and they have good reason to do so. But we're still adding it. And yeah, you could go through and read all the ingredients of your food, but who wants to do that?
Right.
And I just want to eat it. I'm not trying to read it.
I don't worry about it at this point because I enjoy what I enjoy and I'm already a picky eater. So if I start trying to weed out certain things, which I will say 4 years ago, I stopped drinking these things pop, soda, whatever. Depending on what part of the country you're in, it's either soda, it's a pop, it's a Coke.
Are you using it over there like somebody that tries to quit smoking, they hold the cigarette. You just got the pop next to you so
No.
that you can.
But no, I gave that up. I started counting calories. I did a lot of protein stuff, and I dropped down to 190 pounds, and I was over 220. So I dropped 30 pounds in a matter of 2 months.
Ah, you look good, buddy. You
But
don't look too bad.
now I've racked that weight back up. I'm back to being right around 220.
I'm about 208 or something.
I wish I could go back to what I used to be, but then I look too scrawny.
Well, my old lady makes it too easy to be happy. So
I just like food.
yeah, yeah. And so we live with her sister, right? And it's a decent sized house. It's a nice house. And her sister is like a chef level cook. And it is fantastic. It is a wonderful thing. Because I love to cook. I'm pretty good at it, when I'm cooking what I want to cook. And I never have to cook. And it's great.
I don't do a whole lot of cooking here. I might make myself something here, or if my wife is not home one night, I will have to make dinner for us and the kids, but usually it's not anything extravagant. Some of the things that I would like to cook, no one here likes it. Like I've been wanting to make beef stew for a long time, and no one here likes that.
Beef stew?
Yeah,
Beef stew is delicious.
that's what I say, but they don't like it.
So you want to hear about, I guess it would be considered the coup de grace. Is that how you say that? Coup de grace?
Coup de grace.
Coup de grace.
Yep,
Uh,
that's what we're here for.
right, right. So this happened. It was about, I'd say 10 years ago. Like I said, I'm not good with dates.
So it was before the.
Yeah, actually it was. It's just what happened here was, I was building up. It would have been weird to go from the one
To the other.
to the other and then back to and then to the one again, to the next one, because it's all three experiences were profound. Is that the right word? Profound.
Sounds like
Life changing. Like I'm not an atheist anymore. I don't know really what that has to do, if one has anything to do with the other, but I'm not. I'm not a Christian either, but I believe in a higher power. So it was like 10:30 at night, and this happened in Howard County. Like a lot of stuff happens in Howard County. We had a UFO crash. What, 16 years ago?
and something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It was 16 years ago because I was in Oregon when it happened. Uh, so I was headed to my mom's house. I was, I was kind of broke at the time, so I was borrowing a little money off of her. Um, so I was on my way out there. It was like 10:30 at night, and of course I was by myself, and I'm driving. It's in the middle of the country. The corn is up. That that uh that matters. That's relevant to the story. The corn was up. Because I'm out in the middle of the country, and I remember thinking to myself like, oh yeah, I got brights. Because I always had cars. I don't know if the kids understand this, but we used to get cars and would not have brights.
Mm-hmm.
They just would. You wouldn't have brights. You'd turn them on and they wouldn't work, or they just wouldn't. It wouldn't matter. You could leave them on driving in the middle of town, nobody would care. So I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, I got brights. Like I had just bought this car. and I flicked them on, and no, as soon as I flicked them on, I see something, about 4 foot tall, step out of the cornfield. Uh, my brights hit its eyes, and its eyes, it they they glowed red, like it was. And but as I drove by it, I make eye contact with this thing. I only saw it for, I was going 45 mile an hour. It was standing still, so I only saw it for a second or two. Um, but as it stepped out of the cornfield and seen that I was driving by, it jumped back into the cornfield. So it was like, oh no, somebody, there's a car. I could take you to the exact spot.
Do you happen to think it could have been a person?
Okay, so I've spent uh a while trying to uh debunk myself, I guess, is the
I
best
understand what
way
you're
of
saying.
the best way of putting it.
I've done the same thing for 17 years.
Right. Like there's no way what I saw was what I saw. Like that's nuts. There's no way. Even though I believe in all these things, like, because you hear people talk about it. Like, how come you get to have all these experiences, but I don't get to have any? Like I don't believe in aliens. I don't get to see UFOs and and grays walking through cornfields. Like, why don't these happen to me? It's weird that all that these experiences even happen, I guess. Uh, but human eyes don't glow red. You know that, right? Uh, there's there's not a light like a human eye won't glow red unless it's in a picture.
I was going to say, like, when you take
And
photos, like the old Polaroid photos, like
yeah,
people's eyes were always reflective red.
a picture can make your eyes glow red, but that's it. Uh, Lights won't reflect red off for humans. And like I tried convincing myself like was that a rabid raccoon standing up? Like it was awfully large, 4 foot tall. Was that it couldn't have been a deer. Deer don't jump back into the cornfield. If you scare a deer while you're driving by it, it's running out in front of you.
Now, no one in here can see this, obviously listening, but did it have this appearance?
He more or less. I mean, I hate it. I hate to sound cliche, man, but it was a gray, dude. It was exactly how. Have you ever seen? It's a movie. It's like a found footage. It's called the McPherson documentary or
No,
something. I think that's what it was called.
no, I haven't heard of it.
Okay, so not a lot of people have seen it, but a guy made a hoax movie after, like modeled after that found footage. And it's very convincing, actually. I'm not saying it's real one way or the other, but there's two different movies and you can tell which one seems real and which one doesn't. But there's 3.5, 4 foot tall gray aliens. They're little. I don't. They're little onesies.
Hmm.
I don't know what else to call it. Skin tight. Didn't look like there was a sex there. Didn't. I don't know. When I got to my mom's, I was scared to get out of the car. And I mean, you know me, I don't scare easily. Like it takes a lot to scare me. And I was scared to get out of the car and go up to, because it was only a 3-minute drive from my mom's house where this happened. To this day, I mean, she still lives in the same spot. It it was terrifying, actually. And I always told people, like, yeah, I'm gonna be if I see an alien, I'm that guy that's just like, yo, come on, abduct me. uh, an anal probe is a small price to pay for disclosure.
So you're 100% certain if it was anything, you think it was a gray? Because I believe that there are other things that look similar to that.
Okay, so no, I don't. I know it looked like a gray. It could have Zeta Reticuli. I don't know. It could. I know that there's su su supposedly several species that look about the same. Like even the tall whites still, they just look like a tall version of the grays, apparently. So,
What I was going to go to, like avoiding the whole alien concept, I mean, it'd still be considered an alien to the extent, but more of the cryptid realm. A lot of people have seen what they call pale crawlers. And if you remember the thing, I think it's from the 60s or 70s, the Dover Demon.
that one sounds familiar.
That's to me, it always sounded like the same thing. It had like a bulbous head, had longer type fingers and arms and everything else. It was almost like a crawler, like they seen it crawling. Well, if you listen to the stories of these pale crawlers, and a lot of people,
Are you talking
like
about like the rake?
the rake is actually a creepy pasta, but it's based off of
Yeah.
a skit like the pale crawler stories. And
I've seen videos that look pretty convincing.
if you go into the actual original lore of the Wendigos, the bastardized versions with the antlers and everything else, those are not what a Wendigo actually is. A Wendigo is a very pale humanoid-esque thing. Almost, I always come to like think of almost like a rotting corpse type of a person, almost like a zombie, but not a zombie. But
Much stronger than a zombie.
they ate their lips off because they had this insatiable hunger. But that was what the Native American lore was for these Wendigos. They were like tall, skinny, like very spindly looking spiritual things. They weren't necessarily like full on
Right.
humans or whatever, but they were like a spirit version of a human because they had to, and I think in order to become one, they had to kill someone in their family. Well, I might have been confusing that with like the whole Navajo lore for the Skinwalker.
Well, I think the Native Americans know a lot more than we give them credit for.
I
Yeah.
100% agree with that.
They've been here a lot longer than we have, so you know.
But even with other sightings, like I have other episodes out there where I've talked with people and they've seen similar looking things. Like they see these small humanoidish looking entities and they almost sound like gray aliens, but at the same time, they're not because there's little things different about them. Because even like what's up here on the wall,
Right.
obviously the Kentucky Goblins were considered almost an alien thing. When you originally hear the story, which is basically they saw this craft and they saw this, the house was attacked by these little things, like little, they're like little
Little
aliens.
goblins.
Yeah, and then it turned into the whole Kentucky Goblin thing. It's
Do you remember when I got the goblin tattoo?
not particularly.
It was in your kitchen.
I thought it was a drum.
I got that too. Both.
Okay.
I got both.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's what that kind of reminds me of.
Mhm. Yeah, all of those were drawn by a local person. So,
I like them.
yeah.
They're awesome. No, I don't want to pretend that I know what it was. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah,
It could have been one of several different things.
I'm just if it's an alien to me, like if it's a gray, why in the hell is he walking out of a cornfield?
Right.
That just
Well,
seems strange.
there is a house like right there. So,
Have you ever thought about going to the house and
yes.
asking the people if they've ever seen anything strange?
Every day of my life. But I don't know if you know this. I'm gonna assume you do, but most people don't want to talk about
The weird stuff.
weird stuff. Yeah. Like
Right.
I've been because I'm not gonna lie to people and be like, hey, I've never seen anything. When I have, no matter, even if it does make me look a little weird, I don't mind.
So for the people listening, and I don't want to take Mike's time and turn it into something about myself, but when I had my weird experience with the upright walking canine down the road, you guys are one of the first people I had said anything to because I think we had like band practice like the next day
Yeah.
after it happened.
I remember.
I
I do remember.
And I'm like, I have no idea what the hell that was. And there's people that live there now. They just built a brand new house like a year and a half ago, right in the same exact spot where this happened. So I'm like, kind of interesting.
You want to go knock on their door and be like, hey, check it out. I saw a dog man
I want to go knock on the
at your
door
house.
and be like, you don't turn into dogs or wolves or anything, do you?
You're not a werewolf. See, I think that's where the lore of a werewolf comes from. Because I believe, like the Michigan dog man, I think they're real. And I think a lot of that stuff is Sasquatch. I I 100% believe in Sasquatch.
I believe people are seeing something
Yeah.
100% because I cannot tell someone they didn't see something because I saw something that makes zero sense to me.
Right. And yeah, some of the people, like, some of the stories are gonna be, out there and false and made up, and but for every person that's making it up, another one isn't. So it's just hard. Especially for somebody like me who doesn't I don't really hold back when it comes to talking about it.
I don't understand the point of why people make up the stories in general
Yeah, no.
because
Me
I
neither.
understand some people might do it because they think it's funny, but at the same time, it's like, what do you get out of it?
It's not really funny when there's actual victims. Like, and I'm not saying I'm one, because as far as I know, I've just seen some weird things, but I do believe abduction is real. Maybe not all of it, but a lot of it I do believe is real, because I have sleep paralysis. I get sleep paralysis too. And I don't know if you've ever had it.
Yeah, I have.
It's terrifying.
I get it actually kind of often. I didn't know what it was up until recently, to be
Yeah.
100% honest. As I started doing this show, I found out more about it. But like, I always used to wake up and I couldn't move, but I would just always write it off as I'm still asleep.
Did you ever see shadow people around you?
I maybe mentioned this on an episode or two, but the one night I couldn't move and I felt like I was choking and I looked up and above me was what I'd said. I didn't know what this was at the time. I always said it was a cowboy, but I'm thinking now it was Hat Man.
A cowboy choking you out?
Yeah. There was a hatted, shadowy figure above me.
That's the Hat Man,
And
I think is what they call him.
yeah, that's what I said on the Hat Man episode. Like, I actually think I had that experience. I was 19 or 20 years old. I was still living at my parents' house, and I woke up in the middle of the night. My throat was burning. I was trying to gasp for air. I couldn't breathe, and above me was this cowboy choking me out. And everyone kind of laughed at me when I told them. But like,
Sorry, it is kind of funny.
nowadays, like
I'm sure it's traumatic, very traumatic.
when you hear about it, like, that's Hat Man. I was like, what the hell's Hat Man? Then you find out more about it. I'm like, I wonder if that's what happened to me.
I've woke up to 4 shadow people like standing around me, and it's terrifying every time. Like, and I'll try to say like my spouse's name, my old lady's name, or something. It seems like I don't think it's happened, but maybe like one time in the last couple years. But before that, it was like at least once a month. And it wasn't just I couldn't move. It was I felt like there was people around me, like shadow people, because you can't ever make a form. I've seen people, I say people, and because for lack of a better term, I've seen, I guess there is a better term, entities come through my walls before when I was in sleep paralysis.
I still get hung up on the sleep paralysis thing. Is like, are we actually still sleeping or
They say that like your body's awake but your mind's still in REM sleep, or your mind's awake but your body's still in REM sleep, or something like that.
it's strange to me because even dreams to an extent, depending on how you interpret dreams, I don't remember a lot of my dreams, but there's certain things about dreams that really stick out. Like today, when I woke up this morning, like I would consider it basically a nightmare,
Yeah.
but I remember stuff like that. I don't remember everything. But for whatever reason, and the dream that I had today, I'm not going to bring it up because it's pretty traumatic for me. But like, why do you dream of things like, why does that stuff stick out? And then sometimes people say that the things that you're dreaming is actually something that you're experiencing in another life. Like your mind has traveled to your other self in a different reality, a different realm, like a multiverse type aspect. I was like, I don't know if I believe in all that ass to it, like, but
I believe in a multiverse. I don't know about the dreams thing is weird because I mean, what about lucid dreaming? Does that mean that you're going to a different universe
that's how people
and
say
controlling somebody's life while you're sleeping?
they say you
Uh,
astral project and astral travel through the astral plane or whatever.
I think you do project like an astral projection, possibly. And you're just, I don't know. I mean, I do believe in a multiverse, definitely. And I do think there's more than one version of you, of me, of everybody. Uh, I, in my opinion, and I know, I mean, it's pretty much proven, ain't it?
Yeah. I don't know. I think they theoretically can prove it, but I don't know if they've ever been able to scientifically
Right.
prove it. But
Wow. I believe it. I believe in a lot of weird things. Like we could be in a simulation.
I kind of lean that way more than I do some of the others because to me it does seem very simulated.
Yeah. Yeah. Things are weird. Right.
Especially when you watch, which I try not to, but when you see things when it comes to politics or whatever, and like how the world's turning into, I was like, man, this is so like simulated. I think South Park hit it on the head years ago. The whole Earth was a reality show. I feel like that is 100% what has actually happened to us.
I definitely believe we're sort of experiment.
We're the fishbowl here for someone's
Yeah,
entertainment.
I definitely believe that.
But yeah,
It's weird. I I don't get it because I feel like we could contribute to whatever is going on. I don't know if there's so many of us, and 99.99% of us are in the dark and don't know what's going on,
hmm
and that's all we want, really, is just to know what's going on. Uh, I mean, we can take a lot of abuse. We take it every day.
I'll say most of us do that every day we wake up and the 9 to 5 or
Yeah.
whatever. For most people, I don't think very many look forward to getting up and doing the whole routine that we do, but that's
No.
part of the design that we've got for life now.
Right. And it's not even about bettering the species anymore. It's just about lining certain people's pockets. And I do love my job. Like I don't want to take away from that because I do enjoy what I do, but I would enjoy it much better if I could do it for fun and not have to worry about, the way society was designed.
People have asked me about this show, and if this was something that I would love to do full time, if I could have got to a point to where this became my actual job. And I said no, because you just referred to it as a job. And for me, this is something that I enjoy doing.
Right.
And the moment it becomes something that I'm dependent upon to sustain my life, I don't want that.
Right.
I don't want to have to rely on something to be my quote unquote job. Like this is just what I do. This is something that I do for fun. I go to my job. I have a family. I do all that other stuff too. And this is just my little outlet.
Yeah, it's how you express yourself, man. Right?
I used to do band stuff. We used to do band stuff
We
together,
should still do that. Actually,
but it's gotten to the point to where
difficult.
it's a lot easier for me to do what I do now because I don't have to rely on anyone else.
Right.
And
I would love to be in a band again.
I do miss that. I do. But at the same time, I was doing another show earlier this year and most of last year with my friend, and it was all about band stuff. And it doesn't matter what genre of music you play or whatever you're doing, it's all the same things. Like they're all the same struggles throughout.
Right. That
And
is true.
to me, the reward of doing it is not as beneficial as what I thought it was. Like
I loved playing live shows. That was the best.
there was a lot more stress,
That's true. It is very stressful,
so
especially when drugs are involved or and I know they really weren't so much in your case, but I've seen where drugs get involved in a band. And I don't even want to say it destroyed the band because, we had other things happen that were worse than that. But it's hard to practice when you're worried about other things,
mhm.
But now though, I would love to do it. Drummers are hard to come by. They're it's I've still got like equipment.
The equipment I wouldn't have, the stuff that I'm using now is all my equipment for band stuff.
Right. Yeah, but it's awesome. You got it decked out in here.
I've had it sitting around for years. I figured may as well utilize it. But we can probably wrap this one up. We've been going on for over an hour.
Okay.
But
Thank you for having me.
no, thank you.
I always enjoy hanging out with you.
You are my first in studio guest. I've had Ed has been here on the episode 1 we recorded in the garage, and Dalton was here in the basement when I was in the basement. But now this is the first actual live in studio guest for the cabin that I've converted into a recording studio. So
I listened to just the other day, was it the Native American guy that you had on? I feel like he was Native American, but he was cool. I liked him.
I'm not sure which episode that would have been.
What was he talking about? I can't remember what he was talking about.
I am almost 130 episodes deep right now, so it gets hard to keep track of which episodes are what. I go by the episode number or the guest name or something like that. Like
I can't remember his name.
Well,
but I had fun.
Yeah.
It's nice to talk about it with people with open minds.
I appreciate you coming on here and talking about it. We've talked about it off air before, and like I said, we've known each other for almost 25 years at this point. So
yeah, I would say about just shy, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was right around the year 2000 when I met you.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, it's right around the time
we had a lot of fun.
We did. So.
We had lots of fun growing up.
Well, Mike,
on these streets. I had fun.
It's always good seeing you.
Yes.
And
I love you, buddy.
Well, love you too, man. And on that note, I want to say thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you.
Yep. Good night.
And that's the show, everyone. I really hope you guys enjoyed the conversations. If you would like to be a guest on Tinfoil Tales, remember to send an email to tinfoiltalespodcast@gmail.com or go to the contact section of tinfoiltales.com. Just get your message to me. We'll get something scheduled for a future episode. And just remember, the truth lies in the stories we share, the connections we make. Stay curious, stay open-minded. Thank you all for joining us on this journey. And until next time, keep questioning, keep seeking, and keep exploring the unknown. Good night, everyone.
Tinfoil Tales in the headphones. Yeah, it's time to rock. Got a story about a cryptic creature. Let's take a walk. Bigfoot, dogman, they're out there in the dark. But the truth is out there like an alien spark. UFO sightings got the whole world shook. Conspiracies unfold like a story in a book. Media control, trying to keep us blind. But oh, before gonna use my whole mind. In history, they don't want us to know the secrets they hide, the truth they won't show. Dominant of society, they keep us in chains. But standing tall, it's time to break the reins. Control, trying to keep us blind. But I won't be fooled, gonna use my own mind. In history, they don't want us to know